Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. Because 5.2 just dropped and the new update is here, I decided to make a guide on Lyney because Chaska didn't fall into my spendings. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
Welcome to Lyney and Lynette's Magic Show!
Lyney is a pyro bow character whose playstyle is a charge shot DPS. On his normal attack, he performs up to 4 shots. His charge attack is the main source of his damage. It is divided in 2 levels. At charge level 1, he fires off an arrow and deals pyro damage. At charge level 2, he does the same. But this time, when the attack hits, he summons the Grin Malking Head. When Lyney does a charge attack and has more than 60% HP during that, he will consume a portion of his HP to obtain 1 stack. The stack is the number you can see on the head next to him. In total, you can get a maximum of 5 stacks. So if you spend 30 seconds out of combat, the stacks will go away. The important thing to know is that you can only gain stacks if you're over 60% of his max HP. 1 charge shot, or rather 1 stack, will consume 20% of his max HP. The Grin Malking Head that appears when Lyney does a charge shot can taunt nearby opponents and attract their attacks, just like Ember's Baron Bunny. When the Grin Malking Head appears on the field, it takes a percentage of Lyney's max HP. If it gets destroyed or the duration expires, it will fire off a strike at one nearby enemy, dealing pyro damage. It can only exist 1 Grin Malking Head at a time, unless you have C1, but we'll get to that later. Also, the Fontaine characters have the special attacks. Lyney is one of the Pneuma characters, and the first time you shoot a prop arrow, it will cause a Spirit Breath Thorn to fall into the hit location, dealing the Pneuma damage and also pyro damage. When you use Lyney's skill, all your stacks will be consumed while he deals an AoE pyro damage. This scales off how much stacks you have. After using this skill, Lyney's HP will get restored based on his max HP. Basically, it heals you back up for how much HP you lost. The skill regenerates 20% HP per stack. For example, if you gain 2 stacks, you use 40% of your max HP. So if you use your skill now, you can gain 40% of your max HP back. If Lyney's Grin Malking Head is on the field, it will explode after using your skill, dealing an AoE pyro damage. Using the burst will turn Lyney into the Grin Malking Cat, which can be moved around rather quickly. When you get close to enemies in this state, it will deal a maximum of 1 pyro damage hit to each opponent. When the duration ends, the cat will deal a big AoE pyro damage attack. Using the burst, summons a Grin Malking Head on the field, which gives Lyney 1 stack. You can cancel the burst if you want by tapping the skill. When Lyney consumes HP while firing off a prop arrow, the Grin Malking Head summoned by it will restore 3 energy to Lyney and increase the damage dealt by 80% of his attack when you hit an opponent. His second passive is actually the most important one, because the damage Lyney deals to opponents affected by pyro will gain buffs. First of all, the damage is increased by 60%, and second of all, each pyro character other than himself will cause the damage to increase by additional 20%. This way, Lyney can deal up to 100% increased damage to those opponents which are affected by pyro. For the talents, I recommend leveling the normal attack first, because it's the main source of his damage. And after that, I level the skill or the burst, depends on what you like using the most. As you can see, I have both on level 8, so I just stick to having them the same level. Lyney's best in slot is obviously his own weapon. It is called the First Grade Magic, and it increases the charge attack damage by 16%. And overall it buffs the wielder if you have the same element in your party. But if you don't have his weapon, you can also use Aqua Simulacra. It has high crit damage at level 90, and your HP is increased by 16%. Also, the damage of your wielders increased by 20%, whether they are on field or not. So that's a pretty good pick. Another pretty good choice is the 4-star from the Battle Pass, the Science of the Blazing Sun. It is the best at R5, but of course you can use it at R1 too. So whenever you do a charge attack, and Sign Fire Arrow will descend upon the opponent that was hit, and it will deal 60% attack. It will also apply an effect to the opponent that was hit, and if opponents are affected by this effect, charge attacks will deal 28% more damage from the wielder. That was his top 3 weapons. But now you think, what if I don't have any of those? Well, don't worry, because there are other options that you can use. For example, the Thundering Pulse. It does support normal attacks, but you can still use it on Lyney. Or you can use the Skyward Harp because of the crit rate, Polar Star, even Amos Bow. And if you're completely out of 5 stars, you can also use the Hunter's Path. For the 4 stars, you can use the Song of Stillness that is forgeable, or the Prototype Crescent that is also forgeable. You can also use the Abyss Piercer if you picked up on it during the event. If you don't have any of those, you can use the Blackcliff Warbow from the Starkiller shop, and if you must, then the Royal Bow from the Starkiller shop. And if you don't have any weapons and you're new to the game, you can use the 3-star Slingshot. And finally, the artifacts. His best in slot is the 4-piece Hunter. Other than that, you can use the Vermilion or the Crimson Witch. The stats he would like would be attack percentage on the Sands, pyro damage bonus on the Goblet, and crit rate or crit damage on the Circlet. The best substats for him would be energy, crit rate, crit damage, and also attack percentage. Keep in mind that Lyney really likes energy, and it would be the best if you have a minimum of 130% energy, or of course more if you want.
Which is real, and which is an illusion?
Lyney C1 lets you have 2 cats on the field at the same time. If you do a charge attack, it will summon 2 cats, while also granting Lyney 1 extra stack, which can happen once every 15 seconds. So if you want to go for Constellations, the C1 will be really good for convenience. At his C2, if Lyney is on the field, he will gain a stack called the Crisp Focus every 2 seconds, and it will increase his crit damage by a maximum of 20%. Lyney will gain crit damage the longer he is on the field. His C3 increases the level of his normal attack by 3, and this is really big because his main damage comes from his charge attack, and no one else had this before. At C4, the enemy's pyro resistance gets decreased by 20% for 6 seconds when you hit an opponent with a charge attack. The C5 increases the burst by 3 levels. And when you have C6, every time you fire a prop arrow, you will also fire a pyrotechnique strike that will deal 80% of the strike's original damage. This damage is considered charge attack damage and makes the charge attacks deal a lot more damage than normally.
Take a guess.
About Lyney's teammates. As we figured out from his second passive, fire teammates are really good for him. One of the essential characters is Bennett, of course, and for Lyney especially, because Bennett is a pyro character and Lyney likes mono pyro, or the most pyro you can get, and because he buffs the attack damage. Another good character to use with Lyney is Xiangling, because of the fire tornado that does a lot of pyro application. Another useful thing would be interruptance resistance, like Dia, or a shield character like Zhongli, Noelle, but I wouldn't use other elements besides Geo because of the reactions. Lyney's best team is Lyney, Bennett, Xiangling, and Kazuha. Bennett because of the attack buff, Xiangling because of the pyro application, and Kazuha because of the swirling, CC, and because he reduces elemental resistance from the enemies. So this team is the most valuable, and it brings out the most damage out of Lyney. The only inconvenience is that you don't have a shield and don't have interruptance resistance, and it can be really annoying. For example, you can get knocked around the whole time if you're playing Abyss. You just can't deal damage to the enemy and your time is running low, so you just don't get the stars or something. So if this is a problem for you or it really bothers you, you can use Zhongli instead of Kazuha. Yes, you won't have the best in slot team anymore, and you won't have the swirl reactions, the CC and everything else, but Zhongli does have a little bit of elemental resistance when the shield is up, though it's not much worse. But if you really want to keep Kazuha in your team, you can use Dia instead of Xiangling, because you can do enough pyro application with Bennett, Dia and Kazuha all together, so you don't lose out on the pyro application, and you still can use Kazuha or any other animal character. About that, If you don't have Kazuha, you can use Sucrose or Lynette as a free-to-play option. But if you don't have Kazuha and don't want to use any of those, you can use Venti. Even it's not the best option, but you still can do it because he does the CC and his black hole that he sounds with his burst turns into the element that you're swirling, so it can be used. The team I use is Lyney, Bennett, Chun-Li, and Kazuha because I don't really like using Xiangling, and I also don't really like using Dia. It's just a preference thing. But if I must, I'd rather use Xiangling with Chun-Li, but not Dia. That was it for the teams, and now I will show you how the teams work and just show you a showcase of them and how much damage they do.
Because our next trick is about to begin.
Everybody stand back.
Fallen leaves adorn my... Now disappear. Here comes the finale.
Everybody stand back.
Wind strider, clouds hide, the birds come.
Look alive.
Now disappear. A round of applause.
I will have order. Solidify.
Teamwork is dreamwork.
Wind strider, as one with wind and cloud.
Let's get this show on the road.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and found this guide helpful. For some reason it was really hard making this video. I don't know why, maybe because of the explanations and cutouts and stuff. But that was it for today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!